All right, we are live and streaming.
Hey, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's 4 o'clock on October 14th, 2021. I'm going to call a roll call. When you hear your name, please say hello, present, whatever feels right. Vice Chair David Brown.
Present.
Jane Matthews.
Present.
Councilperson Sage Turner.
Hello.
Christy Quinn.
Hello.
Tim Schaller.
Present.
Joe Ransmeyer.
Present.
Samantha Cole.
Present.
Jeremy Goldstein.
Hello.
We have enough members to have a quorum, so we'll go ahead and get this meeting going. Good afternoon. I'm Chair Darren Green, and I would like to welcome you to the October 14th, 2021 Asheville Area River Redevelopment Commission meeting. The purpose of the AARRC is to recommend to the city and county an overall policy for the continued development and sustainability of the regional riverfront. The Commission provides recommendations to the city and county for effective management of the public resources for the districts and actively pursues and assists private sector investments in the districts. The Commission is made up of 14 members representing the City of Asheville, the Council of Independent Business Owners, Riverlink, Asheville City Council, Buncombe County Commission, and the Town of Woodfin. Our committees consist of public safety, including river recreation and water quality, as well as mobility and transportation connections, including flood response and communications. All commission members and staff are participating virtually. We appreciate your patience as we work through committee meetings a bit differently. Pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 166A-19.24F, this will be a remote meeting which the public can access by any of the following means. We are streaming live on our virtual engagement hub, which is accessible through the virtual engagement hub link on the front page of the city website and also linked on the committee page. We also have an option for the public to listen live by phone, calling 855-925-2801. The meeting code number is 9385 for callers to call in and listen. Send comments by email to Riverfront Commission October14@publicinput.com. For those of you out there with us today, welcome. Sasha, was there any public comment received?
No, we did not receive any public comment, and there's no one in the phone queue.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and move to the approval of the minutes from our August 12th meeting. Did everyone have a chance to read through the minutes?
Yep.
Are there any changes or additions? Would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
This is Sage. I'll move. Can I move? Yeah.
I'll second it.
All right. Now I'm going to call through your name individually, and we'll go ahead to approve those minutes. Simply say yay or nay. David Brown.
Yay.
Jane Matthews.
Yay.
Sage Turner.
Yay.
Christy Quinn.
Yes.
Tim Schaller.
Yes.
Joe Ransmeyer.
Yay.
Samantha Cole.
Yay.
Jeremy Goldstein.
Yay.
And I also vote yay. The minutes are approved. All right, we're going to move on to new business. We're going to open up with the Open Space Task Force update. We have Vidila Sadvika with us today from the City of Asheville.
Good afternoon. Thank you, commissioners. To give you a brief background, I've been working with a open space task force made of 8 different boards and commissions for the past about 9 months to try to get a consensus behind zoning text amendment for open space. There's been kind of different views on how to move forward, so we decided that we would get all these commissions together with 2 members from each commission and work it out. When it came to looking at certain districts that are exempt, the commission thought that maybe we shouldn't outright exempt the River Arts District as it has been. So that was part of our discussion. Let me share my screen and just to talk through where we landed with the RAD and what the impacts would mean for the RAD if these changes would be adopted. So first of all, just to show you, this is an image on the right of the River Arts District and its sub-districts. And what you see is that the RAD open space district, which is the green district, is a total of 87 acres, and it makes up 40% of the River Arts District. So it's the largest district. And of that, the ownership is primarily City of Asheville and Duke Energy. So really where we landed is that the task force asked whether we could tighten up the regulations in the RAD open space sub-district to better ensure that the long-term development of that district happens in such a way that it maintains its openness and its pervious quality, so that it's not built upon or that there are too many parking lots. So this is where we've landed. The idea is that the change that's recommended is that for the RAD open space sub-district, we would have two changes. One would be a text amendment that would reduce the building coverage, which means the maximum that any building can be placed on any individual lot, from its current, which is 80%, down to 7%. And again, these are properties owned by the city and Duke. So really, you know, we've been working with the Parks Department, and anything that they're thinking of putting within this district might be a bathroom facility or some kind of a bike share takes off, maybe a little bike share stand, something like that. So this works, and the Parks Department is okay with it. And establishing a impervious surface maximum limit, which today we have no impervious maximum in this district, and setting it at 12%, but exempting pathways, so bike paths and walking paths that are impervious, because we've done some analysis and found that if we included those, most of these parcels would already have a significant part of them being reaching close to their fully built out quality. Then we have two map amendments, and these two parcels that you can see here are not on the river. They're off a little bit. It's the Grant Center and the fire station. And because they're already developed, that they wouldn't align with these recommended changes that we're proposing. So we're suggesting that we zone those back to the way that they were zoned before the RAD form code was put in place. And that would mean they go back to RM8, residential multifamily, which allows for the uses that we are expecting to continue here, which are fire, recreation, and community center. So those are the changes in open space that specifically affect the RAD. If you'd like, I can talk through other changes that will affect the city in general, but I'll start with that and turn it back over to you, and you can let me know where we go from here.
Thank you, Fadila. Does anyone have any questions or comments or concerns? Jeremy?
Is this different than the open space that we were talking about before, where you were talking about open space requirements for all the other zoning districts within the RAD?
No, this is the same. This is a conversation that we actually went to the Planning and Zoning Commission twice, in February 2020 and in July 2020. And before going to council, there was enough sort of tension around some of the changes related to open space that we decided to step back. We made this task force, and then we started looking at all these other changes that you're suggesting, Jeremy, that in the RAD, at one point, we were asking whether or not there should be an open space requirement for property in the RAD. We moved away from that because we thought because RAD open space makes up so much of the land, we should just do a better job of clarifying the language to make sure that district, that sub-district functions the way that people think it should function.
Okay, so we're not requiring open space in any of the other districts beyond what's currently there.
That's right.
Okay.
Anyone else? Is there a consensus to support, and it's hard for me to see everybody, and I'll draft a letter in support. Do we have a consensus to support these changes?
I will say that at the RADBA meetings, I think this is exactly what people were asking for in the district, so I support it.
Thanks. Well, then I'll go ahead and draft a letter in support, and then I'll share that with the commission before I submit it, if that works for everybody. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, go ahead. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Vidila about the open space changes for the rest of the city? Jeremy.
Not the rest of the city. I'm just going, sorry, guys. The reducing the building coverage to 7%, what kind of analysis did you do on that in terms of, my only concern is if the city or, the community wants to do something to benefit everyone, are we going to run up against that 7% number and be like, darn, we shouldn't have done that. So.
Yeah. Well, we did some analysis looking at all the parcels. Most of the parcels are pretty large down there. So 7% ends up being a pretty decent number. And I created a map that shows each parcel and how much land that would equate to that I can share with you. And really, it was just the Parks Department that was concerned about the impacts or potential impacts, but they thought that the allowance was sufficient.
Vidila, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. And if there's no more questions, we can move on to some new business.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. So last week, I was notified, and maybe it was more than that, 10 days ago, I was notified that the city was looking for ideas on some ARPA funding, and there would be an RFP that each commission was asked to provide for any ideas, programs that would fit into certain categories. I didn't hear back from any commissioners directly. I've had some sidebar communications with a few, and I'll open it up to any suggestions right now, and then I'd like to share with you something that I've been investigating that might fit into this this bucket of proposed expenses that we could apply for.
Can I ask something, Darren?
Sure, Joe.
What does ARPA stand for?
Is it the American, Sage, you might have to help me. It's American Recovery Something Act? What is it?
I thought that's probably what it was, but I wasn't sure.
Recovery plan, rescue plan.
Rescue plan, thank you. And I'll have to go back to an email. I think it was $26 million that the city was.
And we've accounted for approximately 9 to 12 million already in spending as you've been going.
Okay. Can you share with us, Sage, what some of those programs are?
I mean, I don't think anything's official yet. So there was things like Days In, you might have heard about, $2 million. Okay. There's been talk about the Ramada Inn coming up. There's, nothing is, I think this is all coming to council in December or so. The period for applications was actually extended. I was going to talk about this in my update. So now the application period goes to November 15th.
Oh, okay. And there was supposed to be a meeting yesterday, and I don't know if it was held. I never got a link to that meeting. That was, it was going to explain how to fill out the RFP and all that. Do you know if that occurred or they?
I'm actually not aware of that meeting. I may have missed that.
Okay, well, maybe I'll try to dig in and see. But before I move forward, is there anybody that has thought of or considered? Sure, David.
Darren, I noticed that one of the items there was city infrastructure, and I would like to see some potential funding going for burials on some of the NCDOT bridge abutments. We're getting tagged constantly, and as y'all know, most of the time the taggers will not destroy a nice mural. That would be all in the preliminary stages. We have to get a lot of approval by NCDOT and the city of Asheville and all that, but it would be nice if something like that could be, a bucket could be put for that effort.
I added that to a running list. Thank you. Jane?
Sorry about that. I was still on mute. The only thing that comes to mind, I know we had been talking before the pandemic about, trolley service or bus service down to the RAD, from downtown, and whether something like that could be done to, instead of building more parking lots along the RAD, to improve access.
Thank you. So that would probably fit under the infrastructure as well. And also it might even fit under the climate component of moving people through the city without the use of a lot of cars.
You could have solar buses or electric buses or something. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Well, there are also places in the RAD that do not have sidewalks, and those are hard for people to safely walk around. If that's up for suggestion, also, I'm thinking of Robert Street between the roundabout and where the old White Duck was. It's the people walk on that all the time, visitors, and it's rather dangerous.
Okay. Alrighty. Any others?
I don't know if maybe along what Joe just recommended, any implementation of the Greenway plans that were proposed for the Coat branch and Town branch. Don't know if that would help move those efforts along. They're both shovel ready.
Jeremy, I'm sorry. It's probably me typing so loudly. I never got formally trained in soft typing. Alrighty.
That's okay. I'll just shut the sound off.
I don't blame you. I annoy myself. It's fine. David.
I was just wondering about potential funding for additional lighting in the area, the district, as things grow and we get more people on the sidewalks in the evenings. I'm not sure what the that particular situation is, but it might be something to be helpful in the future.
Alrighty. So a lot of infrastructure ideas. I like that. Okay. Well, I'll share with you something that I've been thinking about, and I stumbled in. I noticed that the USGS has cameras along the waterways, I think across the US, but specifically in the Southeast. And there's actually 2 that are located on the French Broad. And I'm going to ask Sasha, can you pull up that live feed?
Sure thing.
Thanks. So one idea I had was the installation of some live feed cameras along the riverfront. I'm happy to send the link out, but if you go to USGS French Broad River Camera, it'll guide you to this page. And so there's 2 rivers. And when you scroll down, it also gives you some environmental information. It gives you the water temperature, the flow, and some other information that might be helpful for public safety, for climate, community communication. It would allow businesses to see what the river is doing at any given time. If you're an owner of a piece of property along the river, I think it could be used by the recreation industry to, use for their safety protocols, or even just to allow people to view the thousands of tubers going down the river as a marketing tool. So I have reached out to the USGS, and they sent me to somebody, and I ended up calling the person and leaving him a message, and I'm waiting to hear back. David, I think you'll find this interesting. I did notice that both cameras in Asheville were sponsored by you can see it, cameras sponsored by the NCDOT. Which I thought was interesting. So I'm wondering if our regional DOT contact would have maybe some information on that as well that we can investigate. But I thought it would be an interesting tool for us to use along the riverway, and I'll open up for any discussion.
Well, I think it's a good idea. There's, the obvious crime parts of it. We need to have a better handle on when people should be tubing and not tubing too. And this doesn't get into the quality of the river, but people could see, how they're running, because those numbers are in there also. So there are times when it's a little bit more dangerous than others. So, and the marketing thing's a good idea. I mean, it's like it gets people to, we're trying to do development of the river, to have people to be able to poke on that could be a good thing.
Jane?
I don't know about the temperature information for the river, but I know, having traveled this summer, that the river temperatures, like in Montana, were getting so high that it was killing fish in the streams. I don't know what the fish habitat is, what the kinds of fish are in the French Broad. They aren't probably trout. They're more like catfish and carp and things like that, and what their temperature thresholds are. But for anglers, that might be an important bit of information to have, if they're fishing, even for those species. We had to stop fishing. Some of the rivers were closed in Montana because of temperature getting
They
too
were
high.
too warm?
Yeah, because of climate change. Yeah.
Okay.
You have to go to Maine to get mussels now, because the mussels are no good on New York anymore because of the temperature.
David?
Darren, do you have any feel for the distance these cameras would cover? And, would it be on the greenway and the river, or is that just something we'd have to investigate? And the number that we would need potentially?
I don't know how they position the cameras. I may just go out to Bent Creek and see if I can see where it is. It actually, or one of the cameras points at a bridge, and I don't know the bridge. Maybe you all know. And maybe that's why the DOT was interested in it, because it happens to hit the river and a bridge. So I don't know the answer to that. I do know that some of the cameras throughout their system allow you to zoom in and out and actually move the camera for like 10 seconds. So maybe that's a new updated camera. I don't know the cost. I don't know a lot. I just know that the system exists, and there's quite a few of them out throughout the entire U.S. So we wouldn't be reinventing some new idea.
I think it would be a very worthwhile endeavor to check it out and see if we could get funding for that.
Absolutely. I'll keep digging. and see if I can get somebody to call back.
What's the time frame on the money? What's the ask?
Roughly speaking, we're expecting applications by November 15th, and then to do a council session on them in December, January-ish. Still coming together. It could continue to move as we push back things like the application date.
Okay.
Sage, have they issued the RFP? Is it public? It is. Okay.
Maybe we should put one on Nasty Branch.
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of places we could find to install them. So, all right, if there's no more discussion, we can move on. So, let's go into our old business. We had formed 2 committees, and I want to have each, just have a very casual conversation about, how your first meetings went, where you'd like them to go. I know I can speak a little bit more about the public safety, river recreation flood response, because I attended that one. I did not attend the other one. So I know Tim and Christy and David, you all were involved with transportation mobility. If you'd like to just tell us what's going on.
Well, what I'd like to do is ask Christy, because I think she's been meeting with Patty. We brought Patty Torno into that committee, and obviously flooding continues to be an issue, so it's pertinent. So Christy, can you update us on what's up?
I have not gotten to see Patty yet. We've rescheduled several times, but I did talk to Dima Bader from Biltmore, which is another one. And she and I had a discussion about Ben Mitchell. There's a whole group of folks down there that kind of do their own thing as far as the way that they like to handle flooding in Biltmore Village. And we're trying to get a time to talk with Ben. And there's another person down there, Tony Caggioli, the guy who is involved with Cantina. I had met with him a long time ago, long before we did this. And he and Ben kind of have their game plan for down there, but I'm just going to try to tie in with them. And it's similar with Patty. A lot of these people have relationships that deal directly with the city of Asheville. So I think there's going to need to be a little bit more groundwork as far as just getting them to include us, I guess is the best way to say that, because everybody's kind of just independently working on their own at this point.
But we did have that meeting a long time ago on your deck, right? I mean,
that exactly. And that's what I was making reference to. And then, that guy left Doubletree.
Right.
And, but I have plenty of friends that do have businesses in downtown or in Biltmore Village. And it's a whole different area over there. But I think there's a way that we can kind of dovetail on what they do. One thing that did come up with Dima was that they had worked very closely with Sarah Henry. And I think that after she left, there was kind of a void for a little while. And I mean, we all know that a lot of people have just kind of been hibernating. So we just got to get back on it.
No, I think Dima's really good. She's active.
She's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I did note that obviously right in front of you, the last flooding there, the city didn't get there before the cars could have gotten stuck. It wasn't closed in time, which it's hard to understand that.
I think we just need 1 or 2 contacts that we only work with instead of trying to keep going down that phone chain, because every time I talk to somebody, it's a different story. Right. So, we could probably fine tune that slightly. And it's probably actually engaging Patty and going back to the folks we talked to at Public Works.
Christy, do you have any contacts along the Swannanoa River Road in the Biltmore area?
I do.
Like the antique tobacco barn?
That is exactly who I was thinking about. John
Okay.
Pomeroy. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, I have a storage lot that's right adjacent to them in that past their gravel parking lot. And we've had significant floods. You know, every time they're affected, we're affected.
Mm-hmm.
And as much notice as we can get, better. It's always a problem, but if we have some heads up, we can move some things out of the way.
I think too, if we just were way more aggressive with the storm drain issues, I feel like that's really probably 60% of what happens in Biltmore Village is that. But yeah.
I mean, we literally have the river come through our lot. And,
right.
I mean, I had 38 inches of water through my storage area, and anything that wasn't tied down just washed across the parking lot. So
yeah.
Anyway, we can't stop the river, but it's not going to. I mean, this was the worst. I've been there 3.5 years, and this was the worst one we've had. Most impactful.
The last storm event.
Yeah, the remnant of Fred.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It was.
Well, we're on it. I guess I'll just drive over to Patty's. She wanted to come to me, but I think that was part of the problem.
I will say that on my end, on the other part of it, trying to get the trolley, we decided, Trish and I decided to put our house on the market a couple of months ago. So I've been caught up in making a 1919 house look like it was worth a lot of money, but I've got my contract on it so I can get back focused. And Jane, thank you for bringing up the idea of grabbing some of that money for the trolley, because that will give me the impetus. And, Pam is ready to talk from the museum, so we can get moving.
Sage, I have a question thank you both. Sage, I have a question for you about the Asheville alert system. What do you know about that, and how can we get flood response connected with that system?
Are you talking about like when there's a water outage kind of alert?
Well, we always get those, but
I don't really know.
how do we? Okay.
I can find out, but I don't know.
That would be very helpful, because I feel like just a simple text on the Asheville alert system to say, the bridge at Christie's Place is closed, it's flooded, stay clear, even if the barriers aren't up yet, if that alert is issued like right away, that would be, I think, very helpful.
Okay. Got it.
Thank you. Are there any other before we move on to the next? All right. So the other committee is the public safety, including river recreation and flood response. And Joe, I'm happy to let you take the floor if you want to tell everybody what we talked about, or I'm happy to give the synopsis.
You go ahead, Darren.
All right. So sure. So we've had also one meeting, and something that we recognized was that there are a lot of commissions, there are a lot of staff, there are a lot of nonprofits doing really great work, yet they're just not communicating what they're doing, and so there's probably an inefficiency there. So what we decided we would put our efforts towards is forming a panel discussion of different commissions, of nonprofits, of city staff members, and just have a discussion about the challenges along the riverfront, whether it's water quality, stormwater, traffic, parking, business, DEAI issues, whatever it is. That we would have a virtual panel discussion, which we could then, use also as a networking tool. So that's where we that's kind of where we landed. We had some interest and excitement for that. So I expect that we'll start to meet again and try to put together a list of folks that we want to bring into that discussion. Joe, do you have anything you want to add, or?
Well, I think there are some people that would be helpful to have on board. I'm thinking of Renee Fortner from Riverlink. She's a big part of our watershed and stormwater efforts. She headed up this Central Asheville watershed plan, and that's a very interesting tool. If any of you want to look at it, it's on the Riverlink website, and it's an interactive program where you can look at what their recommendations are, and they're starting with one off of Hilliard Avenue at the project there. It's going to be quite impactful, and the neighborhood is welcoming it. So I recommend that we invite her to at least sit on the initial group. And also, I think you'll all be interested to meet our new executive director, who just has come on board the last 3 or 4 weeks. She's come here from Colorado, and she's actually has a PhD in hydrology, so as well as a degree in environmental science, and she's quite knowledgeable in the area. And I think she's a dynamic person that'll be great for Riverlink and for our area. So I hope you'll have a chance to meet her soon.
Yeah, that would be great. I think once we have once she gets her bearings here, we'd love to have her as a guest.
Sure.
Jane?
You might want to also consider inviting, at least to be listening, the design review committee, the new design review committee, because we have a bunch of people who come from downtown that are now weighing in on projects within the river, but have them better understand all the issues of the river. Might be good for having them here.
Great idea. Thank you. That's a good segue. Do you have a design review? You or Jeremy have a design review update?
No, we haven't looked at anything for the river, but Sage has something she wants to say, I think. We've looked at mostly downtown projects, Hilliard and Biltmore Avenue, but so there hasn't been anything new to come along the river in the last month.
Okay. Sage?
We're just kind of jumping into my update, but I was going to share, I think you had asked that I share about where we're at with the design committee. And we did get a presentation at council about some of the kind of how has it gone in the first 6 months and what holes need to be filled, what things should be shuffled. And there is an idea forming around having 3 members from both Downtown Commission and Riverfront, and then 1 at-large member to resolve this issue that we haven't had a 4th come from Riverfront. And then I think, again, still the 9th person voted on. And they would still be appointed by council, though, because like I explained in the last meeting, there's this, since it's such an important board and playing such a new functional role for the city, there was interest in the council being the one that appoints those persons. My understanding is, and maybe Sasha can speak to this a little better, but I don't think we're going to be looking at any changes to those or adopting any changes until perhaps early spring. It was like a 6 months in, and what should we look at, and we'll come back soon, right, Sasha?
I don't have an exact timeline. I think what I told you all at your last meeting was that we would definitely let you all get an update to you all and get any input before we took it to council. For sure. I think we're working on one piece sooner, obviously the extended stay piece sooner than later. So yeah, I think the earliest it would get to council would be January or February. So.
And Sage, just like the River Commission, the Design Review Commission has brought their concerns about the guidelines, both for the river and downtown, trying to work. And, we have people, like myself who, having to get familiar with the downtown, but, there are things like, that have come up, like in our last meeting, parking issues related to some new development and whether we should be changing some of the guidelines on parking within the downtown area to accommodate the needs of these very intensely used and residences or hotels, to encourage more parking developed by the project itself instead of pushing into what limited parking we have in the area.
Yeah, I'm a large supporter of updating the design guidelines and planning for both downtown and Riverfront. I just made my brain think, is that an AARRC correlation there? I'm not sure, but.
All right, if there's no more discussion, I had to turn my camera off. I apologize. I had a weak signal, but I'm still here. We'll go ahead and move into our updates from the county and the city. And today we have Peyton O'Connor representing Buncombe County Parks and Rec. Peyton, the floor is yours.
I'm happy to go if Peyton is taking a minute.
Okay.
Oh, there.
Oh.
There.
I'm trying to find the unmute button. I mean, you'd think by now. All right, there we go. Thank y'all for having me today. Our biggest update is we are backfiring on all cylinders with our Woodfin project. We are getting ready to execute a contract for the Beaver Dam Creek leg of that project. And we're looking to continue moving forward with permits and documentation on that project. The most exciting advancement that we've had is we have been able to realize some scheduling enhancements because the schedule was pushed way beyond what we would like it to be. So we're hoping within the next couple of weeks we'll be able to release a tentative schedule to the public after we've had time to vet and review that with the town of Woodfin. Beyond that, our engineering team has worked out a tentative alignment for the Inca Heritage Trail, and we are moving forward with turfing as part of our soccer project out there. We're hoping to have a finalized design and permit set by the end of this year, and hopefully moving into construction next spring. Our biggest issue now is cost escalation with all of our project delays and trying to find the appropriate pots of funding to make up those cost escalations. And I think that's going to be a problem that plagues us for years to come because of all the delays with COVID. Beyond the turfing project, we're getting ready to break ground for our dog park, which is one of the final components for the Inca Recreation Destination, along with doing some new component restrooms at the sports park. So it'll open up that area for using the nursery for some educational purposes. And then in other news, we are kind of suffering on the staffing front, as I'm sure everybody in the country is. And so our Greenway projects are hitting a couple of speed bumps there because we've lost our Greenway planner, but we hope to be back up to speed within the next couple of months as we work through those staffing issues. So that concludes my kind of rambling updates, and I can answer any questions if anybody has any.
Peyton, I have one question. I saw just today, I think, that the town of Woodfin has received a sizable grant to go towards the expansion of the river park there. Do you know anything? Do you want to say anything about that?
I'm remiss for not mentioning that. They got a $400,000 PARTF grant, which is the Parks and Recreation Trust Fund through the state of North Carolina for, I believe it's allocated toward Woodfin Riverside Park. And that's something they've been working on for 3 years now. And PARTF grants are very hard to come by. So that was the very hard work on the part of their side of the team. So definitely congratulations to them.
Thank you, Peyton. Are there any other questions? All right, we'll move on. Thanks, Peyton.
Thank you, Peyton.
All right. Councilperson Turner, what you got?
Sure. So I was going to update you about the design board. So you've got that update. And then I had one other exciting update in that I also sit on the Planning and Economic Development Committee for the city. I feel like I'm in some kind of sun orb, sorry. But we have this magical business coming to the River Arts District. So it's going to go to council to be finalized, but there was an RFP process for the, oh gosh, I don't remember the street number, the city-owned building 251?
8 River Arts Place.
8 River Arts Place. And it was kind of up for lease, and I think there were a series of applicants, at least 7, and the staff put forward a final recommendation. Planning Economic Development reviewed it this week, and it will go to council on October 26th. And it is for what is business from the same owners of Grind, the coffee shop, and it's going to be called Black Wall Street. And it's going to have, to date, the last count I heard was representation from 59 different Black-owned businesses, whether it be their product, their service, and also function as a community, like kind of gathering place too. I know if it is approved on the 26th, they plan to have an event on October 30th, a gathering. So there's a social component, there's a retail component, there's an advocacy component. I know the committee that when we sat on, we were all very excited and also saying, you're going to outgrow this really quickly. So let's see how we can replicate it in other places. But it's an exciting addition to the River Arts. And yeah, I just want to make sure you all knew that was coming. Did you all know about that building in the RFP process?
Yes.
Yes.
I'd like to speak up for Jay and the Grind and that, because I'm also sit on the BizWorks board, and they've been a client from the beginning. And I know you supported his idea to have his Black Wall Street project, and he's got a lot of good coaching on our end. So I think it could be a great thing for the neighborhood.
I agree. And there is a presentation. I'm happy to forward it. That's it for updates, unless you have any questions for me.
So Paige, does the parking, will that be exclusive to the tenant, or will that still be available for the public?
Gosh, I don't remember. I know the bathrooms will remain public and the city will continue to maintain them. Sasha, do you remember about the parking? It's not dedicated, right?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be, I mean, the only thing that would change is if they had, not at this point. I mean, I could see maybe in the future, maybe if they signed a few spaces,
Yeah.
but I think we expect people from the public to stop in and use the restrooms like they are now. And hopefully they'll go in and visit the shop and spend some money.
Exciting.
Yeah, I would just like to add, I think that's a wonderful addition to the district, and I'm happy that the city chose that organization. So I'm excited to see what they do with that underutilized space. It's such a beautiful small space, but so much potential. So congrats to them, and good job on the city for their selection. So let's see, Sasha, do we have any public comment or live callers?
There is no one in the phone queue.
Maybe one day. All right, Tim?
Yes.
I'm going to throw it over to you.
Okay, I've had a request from, they are my tenants at the Wedge, but just in general, there's major work being done on the DOT on the bridge that separates, Phil Mechanics and Wedge. It's necessary work. We all understand that, but the generator and the sandblasting, the noise is really intense. There's businesses there like the Wine Bar and Bull and Beggar and the Wedge that have used outside seating to get through the pandemic, and now it's making it impossible for people to sit out there. And the noise last night went on to almost 8 o'clock. And they're sandblasting, and then they put the sealer on, and there's no reason to even have a beer because you can take deep breath and you're huffing. So it came on, we knew it was happening, but I didn't expect it to go that late into the evening or to go past 5 o'clock. So I'm asking for anybody's got a DOT is, if it was city, I know who to talk to. We've gone over and talked to them, and it goes nowhere. So, like I say, these are businesses that have struggled to get through the pandemic. This is October, this is leaf season, and suddenly they can't be outside. So I'm asking for any recommendations. So,
Tim, don't they have to follow city ordinances on work hours?
I have no idea. But last night it was 8 o'clock. So
Yeah, you can work until, I think it's 9 or 10. I mean, in terms of noise, I believe. I mean,
Well, the noise makes salvage stations sound quiet.
I thought
Yeah.
it was less than that, but I'd have to go look, for the ordinance,
Stephanie's headed back into town tonight. She did let me know that city staff is very aware of that going on, but I don't have an answer beyond that. But.
Okay, I'll text her tonight and just ask her, because I mean, it's, it's got everybody, rightfully upset. So, I mean, and it's, we've been told it's going to go on a month, and then we talked to somebody who said it's going to be 2 months. I understand that they just do projects all over the place. It's, luck of the draw of when yours is done. It's poor timing, but it's just going, the past 5 o'clock, most of the businesses could manage if they could tell people, make your reservation for dinner at 6, so, okay. If anybody has.
I'll pass that on to Ken Putnam as well. And even though it's not obviously not city, he's got a lot of contacts at DOT.
Right, that's his past history, right? Yeah, good. I'll reach out to him also. Thank you.
Any other grievances?
This is not a grievance, but I'd like to mention something, if I might.
Sure.
I know some of you have come to the River Arts District Leadership Roundtable. We meet normally on the third Friday of the month at 8:30 in the morning. However, this month we've been invited to meet at New Belgium it's going to be next Thursday, the 21st at 4 p.m. If anyone would like to, I know David came one time when we met there before. And Michael Kraft has offered to host us there. So I think any of you who are interested in the leadership roundtable of this area, come visit on the 21st at New Belgium, 4 o'clock. Usually goes till about 5:30. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
It would be a good idea to let Michael Kraft at New Belgium know, or Stephanie, if you plan to attend. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Any other comments before we adjourn? David.
Well, at one of our more recent meetings, there was some complaints about the maintenance down in the River Arts District, and I think it was brought to Sage's attention. And I must say, in the last couple of months, I've seen a lot of people with weed eaters and cleaning stuff up. And if you had something to do with it, thank you. It looks much better down there.
Thank you for bringing it up, David. I meant to when this crisis came up, because I saw him again this morning. It looks a whole lot better and people are working. So thank you.
It's a huge improvement.
Yep.
Thank you, Sage.
Thanks, David. And I want to thank everybody for their commitment and service to this commission. It's always great to see everybody. Hopefully in the near future, we'll be able to actually meet in person, but we'll go ahead. I'll throw this to Tim Schaller. I know he likes to adjourn these meetings, so go for it.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
I think we're all in agreement. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Darren.
Darren.
Thank you, Darren. Take good care. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.